Hello and welcome to Young Money. I'm Nozi Pumbanjwa. I'm coming to you from a place that I could describe as slightly naughty, slightly sexy, but it's still very entrepreneurial and still very above board. I'm sitting at Kama Sutra Speakeasy Bar, and yes, as you've heard from the name, there must be a long story as to why this is called Kama Sutra, but the co-owners are here with me to help me understand. I'm joined by Madini Ramabulana as well as MC Pretorius. Gentlemen, welcome. It's lovely to have you.
No, thank you so much.
Thanks. Great
Well,
to be here.
let's get into the heart of it. I'm sure everybody wants to know, why is this place called Kama Sutra? I can see the stuff on the walls that this is Kama Sutra, but give us the story.
Kama Sutra, I think we built the bar without a name, and we said to ourselves that the bar will name itself. And through its transition of building, where we came up with a very strong theme, because most bars in Johannesburg are very plain. They give you drinks and then they give you a place, and we wanted a very strong theme. And through the working progress, we came up with the Kama Sutra signage, where we've put it around the bar, and I think the bar named itself after that.
So I'm interested in what you're saying, is that most bars give you drinks and maybe give you a little bit of food. So here you get drinks, food, and a couple of ideas, I guess, while you're at it. But MC, what is your contribution to the story?
So, I mean, if we just take a step back, I mean, I think Medina and I met as friends, and one of the things we always notice in Johannesburg, there are no bars, like real bars. There's always a restaurant, and then they serve drinks as well, or a hybrid. But there's no really sexy bars in Johannesburg. I mean, the closest you get is sort of a Greenside area, but there's no bars. So that's how this journey started. That's how we connected, because I guess in the end, we both like to have a drink after a long day, but where do you have it in Johannesburg?
So this is a bar, but I love what you're saying, MC. There's a story behind it, there's a journey behind this. How did you guys meet? Like, what happened? I was teasing the guys off air just now. MC has got this really hectic, deep Afrikaans name, and Madini's has an equally difficult name for me to say, but surely there's a story there.
Yeah, so we met during articles, so we both CAs. So I think I always tell Madini, it's one of those things where you sort of connect. It's almost like the closest thing I can relate if someone isn't in business is sort of almost like a no, it's a good example. It's like a marriage partner, because in business you have to share the same values, the same passion, the same attitude, the same diligence. And I think ever since we've met, we've sort of shared ideas. We got to a place where the trust was enough to start some ideas, some small business things, and from there it grew. And now we do a lot of things together.
Why the CBD, Madini? I mean, again, when you talk about bars, someone would probably think, if you want something new, if you want something exciting, go to Sandton. And you guys have said, no, actually, go to the center of Johannesburg. Why?
Well, I mean, we're living in an era right now in Johannesburg where there's a lot of city renewal and urban renewal, and we want to be part of that journey. We are young, we're innovators, and want to be those kind of entrepreneurs who see opportunity where others aren't seeing it. And there's been a lot of influx of new trendy restaurants and bars in the CBD. And we drove past this place, and not to say that we fell in love with it and we saw Kama Sutra in the beginning, but just everything around it told us that something as beautiful as Kama Sutra can succeed here. So
I know I'm being naughty, but I'm really struggling here. I want to get to that moment. What happened for you guys to have a light bulb moment to say it should be called Kama Sutra? Like, what was that aha moment that helped you guys connect with the name and the feeling and the tone of this place?
So I mean, I think, like I said when I did the short introduction, is we wanted a sexy bar. I mean, there's a PG word that we use, but like...
Go ahead, we want that else, bring on your PG word.
So we wanted a bar with big titties. You know that thing where it's just sexy, a sexy bar.
Yeah.
And we teamed up a guy called Percy Musedi. He started a few restaurants, and he was our mentor as well on this project,
Yeah.
because we're coming into an industry where Medini and I, we've never had restaurant or bar experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just accountants that connected.
more than accountants. We're not the stereotype.
And who comes into the bar? Who's the clientele? Who's coming in through the door?
So, I mean, there's a lot of companies here which, like your Anglos, your Standard Banks, your F&Bs, who are still in the CBD and still very much invested. So there's a lot of law firms which are also here, from small to medium size, because there's a court right here next to us. So I mean, a lot of guys who are between the ages of maybe 30 and 40. But we also accept most people who are living and working around here.
So when you say guys, you're saying men and women clientele, or do you see more men coming in? What are the gender demographics looking like?
I think currently it's probably more split, and also you do get more, I guess, guys who after work come in for a drink before they go. But then it also depends. We have events like jazz events. That's
Yes.
it's a mix. So it's young people, old people, you know, different.
And do you have a jazz night, or how do we know that on this day I'm actually going to get the musical experience as well?
Well, I mean, we try plan weeks ahead, so we hire the place out for certain events. So I mean, last year we had fashion shows, we had people performing in terms of acoustic music, we had jazz events. We will be having another jazz event in February. We're also very well supported by the LGBTQI community. I think anyone who's sexually liberal will feel very welcomed in the place. So,
and that's really fantastic that you've latched onto this this feeling of sort of sexual liberation as almost like the core of the brand. I'm interested in figuring out where it spills out to as well. I mean, we can see it on the walls. What does it look like on your menu and the sort of choice of drinks that you would serve? Do you get sexy there as well?
Yes, so I mean, the whole design plays on that Kama Sutra. And if you just look at the meaning of Kama Sutra, everyone thinks it's the sexual positions. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But Kama Sutra is all about life philosophy as well. So it's desires, in short. And we all have desires for money, for relationship, for career, for family. So we play into that desire space. And then to make it a bit edgy, we call all our drinks are called, something sexy.
I want an example.
Yeah.
Bend Over Betty.
Bend Over Betty.
We've got a food item on our menus called Danny's Meaty Salad. We've got a Virgin Bad,
So affairs platters.
An affairs platter.
Yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't just stop there. So our walls speak to it, our menu speaks to it. And if you go into the corridors, you'll see very tasty silhouette naked images. When you go into our bathrooms, you'll see that there's confessions, but also very tasty. Nothing too raunchy.
Nothing sleazy.
No, nothing sleazy at all.
So you guys come across as this pair of CAs who get along so well and who've connected. I don't buy it. I'm sure there are things that you irritate each other about to no end. So MC, I'm going to let you go first. What is the most irritating thing that Medini does and that you've had to sort of get over and live with as a business partner?
So I think because we come from different backgrounds and we're both very strongly opinionated. So, I mean, I guess also in the South African context, when Medini and I would have conversations, you'll see some people get very uncomfortable because it's this black guy, white guy, and they're like going at each other, but in a constructive way. And the main thing that's challenging being in a business partner with Medini is it always takes a bit of grinding to settle on a middle ground, because that's a business partnership. You're not going to get your way always, and the other person is not going to get his way, but you have to find some middle ground to walk towards your goal.
I like that grinding, so that you're actually more polished at the end of it, and the both of you are more polished. So now you've heard he's taken the first shot. It's time for confessions. What is the thing that MC does that you've had to live with and learn to live with?
Well, one thing about myself and MC is that we don't agree. on many things. So it could be a fuel for disagreements, but it's actually a place where we come together. So I think we both have different qualities. I'm a big risk taker. I love risk. My friend here is very detail orientated, and I jump in the pool and he'll first calculate, the depth and all of those things. So I guess we balance each other in that sense, where I will say, let's go, and he'll say, but these are the steps to get there. So I think maybe I irritate him in that sense, and my urgency and his might also irritate me at times.
So in light of this, if you could give each just one piece of advice to entrepreneurs who are looking to go into business in partnerships with a potential friend, or with a spouse, or with a girlfriend, or with a boyfriend, what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give them about how to make it work?
Well, I think my first piece of advice: don't go into business with your girlfriend, because that will probably not turn out well. I think for me, it's literally, everyone can be educated, for example. So everyone can, be a CA. So I think education, for me, people always say hard work, education. That's not really going to make you a successful entrepreneur. One, you have to find the right partner in terms of values, in terms of, getting along, trusting someone with money. We all know, a lot of people can't be trusted. But then also, it's just starting, so doing. There's that saying where to become a master at anything, at one stage you have to be the fool. So you have to take someone and you have to go on this journey together where you start. And as you go, you learn and you adjust. I think one of Medini's saying is always, he says, if you fail, fail fast. And then correct yourself. So it's literally the person, the attitude and the grit that you find in your business partner, and you have to be sure of that, because it is going to get tough and it is going to take longer than expected.
I love the idea of just getting started. A quick one from you, Medini. What piece of advice?
Well, in terms of partner, I would say that values. So you have to have the same value you have for 1 rand. So I value 1 rand, but some people might value 1,000 rand. So if you don't have the same values in money, when money comes in, people already have planned for it. So you need to have that sort of partner, and there's no substitute for hard work. There are times where, we started out doing car washes, we started doing branding. So there were times where we were literally washing the cars. It's been a journey. So I think that's sort of value. But in terms of starting a business, I don't think everyone is supposed to be an entrepreneur. And I think people romanticize it because of the new wave of what an entrepreneur and people making maybe money out of it. But there are many failures in entrepreneurship. So I think some people are good in terms of working in a structure of a corporate. Some people are freelancers in that structure, they work well. Some people are hardcore entrepreneurs. And I think you should find what is good for you. But for me, I've always been compelled within myself to be an entrepreneur, and I've been dying to do it. So ever since I qualified to be or since I finished my articles, I ran.
Well, we're gonna wrap the story there for now, and it's really fantastic. But when we come back from the break, we're going to really get into the personal journeys that both Medini and MC have gone through that eventually led them to this space. Don't go away. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Young Money. If you've just joined us, we're sitting with the co-owners of Kama Sutra Speakeasy Bar here on Fox Street in Johannesburg. And of course, we've been speaking about how the sexual liberation that sits at the core of this brand has actually spilled out onto the menu, into the way they do things, and even just into the very ethos of what they think bars should be and should represent, and the creation of spaces to be free. It's been a really, really insightful conversation. I do the further want to get into their personal journeys, before the articles, before the great connection, I'm sure there was life before that. Maybe MCB, get you to go first. What do you think have been the biggest influences that, despite being a CA, have led you into the entrepreneurial space?
I think if you work in corporate or even at varsity, you know, like Medini said, it's almost, to a certain extent, it's you're born with that sort of drive. You're curious about things. You always see sort of an opportunity where some people see challenges. I mean, if I just think back, even at my childhood, I used to like draw little whale paintings, sell it to people. Yeah. You know, that sort of, if I just think back, that's where it started. So during varsity, you know, you always look for simple things like selling computer like accessories in your raise, you know, selling alcohol because students love that type of thing. So
yeah, that's where it started.
It started as a micro entrepreneurship journey, you know, where you almost just see opportunity and you respond, you know, and then you start working in corporate, and if you've got that sort of entrepreneurial drive, you realize that, you know, corporate doesn't cater for that innovation, because it's like a big ship and there's a lot of policies, procedures that you have to follow, which for a big business it's necessary, but it doesn't allow you that freedom to take risks, you know, live out your creativity. So that's where I sort of realized that corporate wouldn't be my end goal. Right. I need to live out the creativity, take risks, you know, try something new like a Kama Sutra.
Yeah. Well, on the note of risks, Marini, you did say that you're probably more of the risk taker, and that you've done other things, and you've, you know, ventured here and then dabbled in this and that. Talk us through your history of portfolio, to put it politely.
Well, it's not that big because, you know, I think I'm still a bit young, but I mean, I've done everything. I mean, from high school where I was selling CDs, in terms of, you used to tell me what mix you want, and I used to create your mix and sell it off. But in terms of formalizing, in terms of business or entrepreneurship, I mean, I've dabbled in the security industry. Currently, I'm a co-owner here at Kama Sutra Bar, but I'm also a chartered accountant, so I've used that, and I'm a transactional advisor in a company with my brother. And also, again, with that, we own another company called My Power, which we sell energy renewal products. Right now, we're busy with an energy storage, these UPS storage systems, where we basically install them in Eskom substations, and which help save electricity to 4 municipalities, because electricity is charged through different tariffs. So that's one thing that I'm doing. Part of my transactional advisory, we assist companies and government in certain transactions that they might not fully understand. So I dabble in that. Myself and MC, we do have another enterprise where we do billboards, you know, so a little bit of everything, like a spaza shop, you could say.
A little bit like a spaza shop, but I think it's really fascinating, because I think the traditional understanding of what it means to be in business is that you have one business and this is the thing that you focus on, and perhaps even just like the investment philosophy has been sold on that idea for a very long time, such that when you begin to spread out into different sectors and different industries, and you're trying different things, do you think that you know, well, how have investors responded to that? I'm not sure if you've needed investors in those other ventures, but you get a sense that investors need to change their way of thinking about what an entrepreneur really is, especially if you take a look at the kind of things that you guys are involved in.
Well, I think if the whole investor part, I don't think the investor industry in South Africa right now understands how entrepreneurs think. Let me say your traditional funders. For example, you just have to look at the history of what a business case is. And most guys will say, draw me up a business case. Yeah. But when you're a startup, I mean, most of those things are lies.
And you're running multiple startups as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, one thing we've realized is that no one is going to fund your dream. You have to fund it yourself. I give an example to my nephews who are in high school now, and I say, you know, if you're stuck on the side of the road and you're sitting there, no one's going to help you. But I guarantee you, if you start pushing your car, someone will stop and help you push. So I think that's been my experience with people helping you along the way, because there's no way you can create something like this without help, and there's no way you can start any business without help. So that's my experience.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause there for a moment, because you've spoken about this idea that nobody's going to fund your dream. You're going to have to fund it yourself. And if there's one thing I've learned about Kama Sutra Speakeasy Bar, is that nobody's going to make you a drink. You've got to make it yourself. So I'm going to put my hands up now and try to make a sexy and a naughty cocktail, and in true Kama Sutra style. And let's see if it's drinkable at the end of this. I'm finally behind the bar. I've been literally begging the guys to allow me to be a bar lady just for a second, and they've finally agreed. So I'm going to actually try and really make something sexy. I'm not sure what, because I took a look at some of the cocktail names. Like, so there's a list here, like Bend Over Betty, Filthy Flirt, Cupid's Poison. So we're going to try and make a Young Money Seduction. I think that's pretty sexy, and we're going to go on all my favorite ingredients. So sorry guys if this doesn't go down well with you. So I'm going to start off with gin, because I like gin, and apparently I can't. I actually have. So I have to. I can't just.
You can't just, you know, at least a double shot, you know, just to make sure.
So this is a double shot. This is a single.
If you use more than 2 shots, that seduction is going to turn into something else. This is a PG, so.
So you've got that in. So but while I'm doing that, Madidi, just talk to me a little bit about the decision to run. I mean, I would think after going through the painstaking experience of articles and all of that, how do you then just bolt?
Well, like I said, I think it's something that has to be in you, and it has to compel you in such a way that there's nothing else. And I always felt that if I stayed in corporate, I was going to be fired, because I can't sit still. That's my issue again. But yeah, I think that the guys who can become entrepreneurs will know it before. I don't think there's a school where you can teach to be an entrepreneur. I mean, most people say they're going to do an MBA. I say, come run this place and you'll have your MBA. Okay,
I can see MC wants to help me. What am I supposed? Can I just check it?
I
must do this. Okay, that's cool. So,
and you sort of like.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
So let me quickly.
There we go.
Okay. So MC, so this guy thinks that his biggest fear is he wasn't going to last in corporate. That was his thing. But let's talk about the future for you. What are the dreams and hopes around this particular business? I know you guys are involved in quite a number of things, but you know, what's next from here? If we were to connect 5 years from now, what would we potentially be talking about?
I mean, with this thing, we're really trying to create something new, push the limits, and do it tastefully, so that this place is welcoming to everyone that wants to visit. It's not a strip club, it's not something in that direction, and it's also not too tame.
Yes.
So it's something where you can get that vibe, you can feel stimulated, you can share your desires, you can live your Kama Sutra. We call it define your Kama Sutra, because it means something different for anyone else. But I mean, future, I mean, we would love to expand.
Yeah.
I mean, if you open this in a Kama Sutra Durban, Kama Sutra Cape Town, Kama Sutra New York, you know, you almost have to dream big as an entrepreneur. It gets you going.
Yeah.
So I mean, the journey is still.
The journey is still young.
Still young. We started in September last year. So once this one is up and running smoothly, we will definitely look at expansion.
All right. So for you guys that have been watching, the gin is in, the ice is in, lemon and cucumber are in, the tonic has come in. I mean, come on! If this is not seduction, I really don't know. Let me. Oh, I forgot. I still have to make space for some of the cranberry juice, just for that like slight pink
Let's give it a stir in there.
touch. But I think what's nice is that as I'm getting my oops, there we go. My bar. Oh, look at that. It's almost like a dusty pink.
Plus, you have to stir it a bit up.
Okay, so this thing looks like a medical utensil, but that's fine. So guys, as we wrap up the show, and as I get ready to get stuck into my Young Money Seduction, one piece of advice each that you would give to young entrepreneurs watching the show today.
MC?
So, I mean, if I can just share my own philosophy, and this is a quote I read when I was a bit younger, but it just stick by me, and it's a guiding principle in all my decisions, and it basically says that I seek opportunity, not security, and I dare to dream and take calculated risk. So all of us have opportunities. You have an opportunity to start, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether you want to do further education, all of that. But a lot of people overlook opportunity because they're afraid of that, leaving their comfort zone, security. And then the other part is you have to dream. That's very big because that keeps you motivated and it changes the world. And then the third part, which is very important, is the calculated risk. You don't just take risk, because risk is risk. You know, there's a reason why it's called risk. But once you calculate it and you're comfortable with the calculated risk, then you should take it.
Solid philosophy. Madini?
Well, in terms of the future, I want, again, to expand, as MC said, Kama Sutra. I want to be one of the guys who helps the South African economy in terms of becoming one of the big giants in water and energy in the next few years, so in the next 5 years. But in terms of being an entrepreneur, I think if you are an entrepreneur, you already know it yourself. Starting, I know everyone says it, and it's quite an underrated statement. But starting where you are, if you want to sell chicken, you don't have the money, buy eggs, crack them. And you'll have chickens and you sell them to your neighbors, and
hopefully don't crack them, incubate them.
Incubate them. So I think most people underestimate the kind of resources around them. And everybody's trying to draft these business cases and send them off, and they'll come to you and they'll say, can you help me fund my business? And firstly, it's not my dream, so I have nothing to do with that. I don't owe anybody anything, and no one owes me anything. A bank doesn't owe me. The government doesn't owe me. So I think find the resources around you and start something. That's always the best place to start.
Thank you. That I think brings us to such a beautiful close at the end of the show. You got to remember that your dream is your dream. It's not somebody else's dream, and others will help you if you're helping yourself. It's been such a fantastic show here at Kama Sutra Speakeasy Bar, chilling out with Madiri and MC, the two chartered accountants turned spaza shop owners, amongst other things. It's been a fantastic show. Remember that if you want us to come to you, it's really easy. All you need to do is just connect with us on Young Money. Follow me on Twitter at The Real Nosy or at CNBC Africa. Send me a young DM and tell me a little bit about your business. The hashtag is Young Money 410. We want to get the stories of Africa's entrepreneurs out there, and that means your story is waiting for us. Cheers. Goodbye for now. Yes, I have to taste this now. Wow.
There we go.
You impressed?
Guys, this is the future.
We'll put it on the menu.
Sure.
The
No,
Young
guys,
Money Seduction.
you actually...
We have one like this.